Hello, Derbyverse. We have hit one of our consolation games for our Div2 teams. We are now in the consolation bracket. This game has our team ranked 6 versus our team ranked 7. So we've got our Dragon City Steamrollers against Team Indigenous Dreaming. I will quickly flick through the rosters. For Team Indigenous Dreaming, we have... Oh, look at that. We have 08 Pinky, 152 Broody, 18 Skater Masochist, 182 Slim Skatey, 22 Casserole, 252 Hot Jam Donut, 41 T, 52 Gammon Jammin, 543 Gypsy Wild, 5446 Operation Alley, 626 Experiment, 777 Hard Honor, and 8 Feminine. The Steamrollers roster, I was going to wait for the return of my delightful co-host. My name is Harmon Miranda and I have packed Butterfly.
Hello. 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 I'm just looking at hello. What I say? We have for the steam for this. Can you do it?
And for Dragon City Steamrollers, we have 112 Goose Lightning, 12 Silver Fox, 14 Kilbo Baggins, 333 Bee Sting, 37 Trainwreck, 4 Sharp Cheddar, 444 Damage Patch Doll, 5 we have Cyclo, 77 Crackerjack, 785 Donkey Kong, 82 Sparks a Riot, and 86 Razorback. Apologies, I do not have the officials roster at this time, but know that they are loved and wanted and allow us to play this magical sport of roller derby. I am going to make an assumption that we will not be starting in 22 seconds. So we have a, what's a collective noun for roller derby officials? We have a group of them headed to the centre of the track. We have skaters on the track. So, Butterfly, who's jamming for us?
For the steamrollers is Goose Lightning, and for the Indigenous team is Experiment. have some dancing going on. Why not? That seems fun.
It's not a roller derby game unless there's a dance party. Yes, everybody dance safely. Nothing worse than explaining you hurt yourself at roller derby whilst in the dance-off.
In skates.
Yeah, that does increase the difficulty.
And on toe stops if you rather.
You can tell which ones the jammers are. They dance on their toe stops.
But so do blockers sometimes. If they want to.
I would love to let you know how long to derby, but I have no idea how long we've got till derby.
About a million seconds.
No, that's way too long. Oh, rolling whistle.
You meant like 0 minutes.
And our last game for the day on day 2, track 2. Steamrollers, Dragon City Steamrollers in red. Team Indigenous Dreaming in the light blue. And we have Hex taking the outside line and Goose taking the inside line. Razorback there doing some offense, but it is Hexperiment out and declared lead jammer. Our Steamrollers reform a tripod at the back that Hex dukes and gets around the outsider. Goose trapped there at the front by the Team Indigenous blockers. Goose recycled back on the inside line there on the corner number 2. Another drawback. Team Indigenous Dreaming string out. Goose now through on the inside, goes to the outside and completes their initial pass. Busty Hammer on the bench for Team Indigenous, telling Experiment to get some more points. And call. Full 4 points there on the board for Team Indigenous Dreaming. Dragon City Steamrollers are denied. We have 8 points. Team Indigenous, 0 Steamrollers.
We have Kilbo Baggins and Slim Skate T.
And Kilbo, similar move to Hex in the last jam. Jukes to the out, jukes to the in and gets through. And Slim Skatey running up that inside line, only half a track between the two jammers. Blockers reform, Steamrollers at the back, Team Digits at the front. A hit and a spin there by Kilbo Baggins. And the quick call off. 4 points on the board for Steamrollers. 8 points to Team Indigenous. I'm predicting a very, very tight game. This should be a competitive game. After all of the teams played each other, the rankings have these guys next to each other.
I'll say both of these teams are very competitive. I've seen both of them play today, and from all their bruises, I could feel them on me.
What an empathetic commentator you are. So that's the end of timeout. Who have we got jamming, Bloods?
Donkey Kong and Hardonna.
And it is Donkey Kong that has exited the pack first legally and declared lead jammer. Hardonna now also out of the pack and free to score some points. Pack speeds up to try and keep their points further away from Donkey Kong. Tripod of Team Indigenous Dreaming reforming there at the front of the pack. Donkey Kong calling it. No points stolen there by Team Indigenous, and 3 points on the board for the Steamrollers. It is now a 1-point game. Like, I know it's early, we're only 3 and a bit minutes in, but 7 points to Dragon City Steamrollers, 8 points to Team Indigenous Dreaming.
Why are you already going crazy about the points?
Exciting game. All right, who's jamming now?
Damage Patch Doll and Experiment.
And Hex is out again. That is 100% lead status for Experiment in this game. Damage Patch Doll jukes to the outside, cuts back through to the inside, completes her initial pass. And Hex gets through the pack, turns around backwards, calls it off before Damage Patch can obtain any points on the board. 4 more points to Team Indigenous, bringing them to 12. 7 points to our Steamrollers.
What? Oh. We have Goose Lightning and Slim Skady.
And Goose Lightning dancing on their toe stops on the outside line. Slim Skating pushing past that last blocker. And it is Slim Skady that has a lead jammer status. Goose pushing up against one final Team Indigenous blocker at the front of the pack, and now also completes this initial pass. Slim is out, looks to the bench, is told to core. 4 more points to Team Indigenous Dreaming. 16 plays 7. 5 minutes of the game complete.
We have Kilroy Baggins and Hardonna.
Kilbo knocked to that inside line, drawn back, but then makes it through on their second time through. Hardonna being stopped there by the Steamrollers pivot. Hardonna has been recycled back into the pack. Kilbo heads around the outside for another 4 points. Hardonna up against a duo at the front there. That's Beasting, just as I say their name. Headed to the penalty box. And Crackerjack. Hardonna now completed their initial pass. But Kilbo calls it. 3 more points to Kilbo on that final pass. That was a juicy 11-point jam for the Steamrollers. No points to Team Indigenous Dreaming. Lead change. Steamrollers now lead 18 to 16.
Again, why are you so crazy with points? We have jamming Hex, Parrot and Donkey Kong.
Oh, and hop, leap and a fall there by Experiment at the front of the pack. Still able to obtain lead jam status. Donkey Kong exiting the pack, half a track behind. Bit of a pack shuffle. We do have a smaller pack out there. 2 Steamrollers, 3 Team Indigenous skaters. And Hex with a bit of a late call there to try and get Their remaining blocker out of the penalty box. 2 points stolen by the Steamrollers. 4 points to Team Indigenous Dreaming. 2 points to Dragon City Steamrollers. We have a tie. 20 plays 20. With 22 minutes on the period clock.
We have Dower Track Style and some skating.
Steamrollers still with the pack disadvantage. Only 2 of them on the track at this time with a full complement of Team Indigenous skaters. Damage patch doll recircled down the inside line there by Team Indigenous pivot. That is 5-4-3 Gypsy Wild. Damage patch doll recycled again. And we have Slim Skady out and lead. Damage patch doll trying for that outside line again. This time that was 2-2 Casserole with the hit out and drawback. And Steamrollers have gone for the star pass. We now have the pivot 8-2 Sparks Are Right with the jammer helmet cover in their hand. And our pack shrinks again. 1 player per team headed to the penalty box. Slim Skady is through. Another 4 points on the board. And Skater Right 2 to beat at the front of the pack. But in a no-pack situation, you are no longer allowed to block, and Skates Are Right, Sparks Are Right is out and completed their initial pass. And Team Indigenous Dreaming calling that jam. That was a giant jam. A 15-point jam for Team Indigenous Dreaming, bringing them to 35 points. Dragon City Steamrollers remain on 20. 20 minutes left in the half.
Jamming for Steam, is Goose Lightning, and jamming for the Indigenous team is Hardonna.
Donna up against the tripod of Steamrollers. They've been forming at the rearmost position in the pack for most of the game. And we've had Goose recycled to the in and now pushing to the out on turn 1 and through. Declared lead jammer. Cyclo heading to the penalty box. And Hard Donna with 1 to beat does so and completes her initial pass. Goose coming in fast to that back tripod of Team Indigenous skaters. And Hard Donna through. Hardly touched there on that inside line. Well, the Goose has 2 to beat. Bench is yelling to call, and they do. I think that's a 4-4 jam. Yep, even Stevens. Steamrollers on 24, Team Indigenous Dreaming on 39.
Jamming is Kilvo, Balgans, and Experiment.
I think this is a matchup we've seen once before in this game. Hex doing a little bit of blocking off the line, works really well. Takes Kilbo to the inside line, then runs forward and gets himself lead. Kilbo knocked to the out, and our OPR decides nope, you did not re-enter legally, and we'll be heading to the penalty box with a cut track penalty. Hex Hex already with 4 points on the board. And pushing through Steamrollers for another 4. Team Indigenous Dreaming. Looking like they're going to do some passive offense and then going in for the real thing. Donkey Kong doing a little bit of D. But Hex able to push out the front with another 4 points. Kubo back on the track. Fast initial pass. And now Team Indigenous getting some points for Hex. Who gets through, gets there 4 and calls it off. Kind of the ideal plan. That was 15 points to Team Indigenous Dreaming, bringing them to 54. Plays 24 for Dragon City Steamrollers.
We have Damage Patch Doll and Hardonna. Hardonna and Experiment have been like jamming, the only 2 jammers that we've seen so far.
And Slim Skating. So this is a battle of the triple digits. 444 plays 777. And it is Cabbage Patch Doll that has got lead jam status. Coming around, side surfing on that outside twice. Well worth the 4 points. And Steamrollers reforming their tripod at the front of the pack. Now with 4 blockers. Steamrollers Silver Flocks there, doing a drawback on Hardonna, back to turn 1 as the pack turns corner 2. And another knockout there by Silver Fox. Recycling Hardonna. We have Damage Patch Doll with 3 to beat at the front. Another side surf. I am going to say that is Damage Patch Doll's signature move. Closes the gap between these 2 teams. And Damage Patch Doll again once more. Jam Donut in there doing a bit of O. Team Indigenous reforms at the front, but Damage Patch Doll is through again for another 4 points. And Team Indigenous now trying to do the offense and defense thing at the same time. Trying to stop the opposing jammer whilst ensuring that their jammer gets out. That was a great jam for the Steamrollers, a 20-point jam. We now have our score within 10 points. 44 points Steamrollers, 54 points to Team Indigenous Dreaming. And we're at the 1/4 mark. Only 3/4 of this game left to go.
I think you're going a bit crazy with roller derby now.
I love roller derby. It's worth going crazy over. Who's jamming?
Now I'm so focused on roller derby crazy things. So, Goose Lightning and Experiment. Roller derby is crazy, but can you stop making me have to say that when I'm talking about jammers?
And both jammers out of the pack almost at the same time. Goose Lightning is a lead jammer, but Hex is like, well, I'm going to try and get some points. Goose calls it before that is possible, and a 0-0 jam.
We have Donkey Kong and Slim Skady.
So Steamrollers taking that rearmost position again in the pack from the start line. And it is Slim Skady that is through and lead. We have one Team Indigenous blocker heading to the penalty box, and we also have the Steamroller Jammer headed to the penalty box. Solid defense there by Steamrollers. Team Indigenous coming up on that outside line, hoping to do some offense for their Jammer. Reset, stop to assess the situation and go back in again. No pack called, forcing a bridging situation. And we lose one of the Steamrollers to the penalty box. So Donkey Kong back on the track with an apex hop. Crowd goes wild for Donkey Kong. And again, a much depleted pack. It looks like we're going to start the next jam with 2 from each team on the track. Score-wise, points-wise, 8 points in that jam go to Team Indigenous Dreaming. 0 points to our Steamrollers. 62 plays 44.
Hard Toner and Killer Venom.
So 2 blockers apiece, 1 jammer apiece. It's like a micro pack. Valiant effort there by the Team Indigenous Dreaming blockers. But as soon as Kilbo's out, they go back and do O, releasing Hard Donna. And Kilbo coming in on that scoring pass. And Hard Donna coming in on that scoring pass. Both of them through pretty much untouched. Pack has now 50% bigger, 3 blockers from each team. And our final blockers return to the pack so that we have all 80 wheels on the track. Knock to the inside and a drawback on Kilbo. Hard Donna wedged in amongst those Steamroller players in the middle of the track. Team Indigenous reforming their tripod at the front. Kilbo's with a hop and a spin. Pops through for another 4 points. Hard Donna with 2 to beat. Make that 4 to beat as a hit to the outside there by Beasting. Recycles them all the way to the back of the pack. And the pack speeds up a little. Team Indigenous coming in to do some O to get Hard Donna through. And Kilbo through again on their 4th scoring pass. And we've lost our Team Indigenous jammer to the penalty box. Kilbo looking a little tired. Realises they're not going to make another lap in the time remaining and stops in front of their bench to shorten that distance. A huge 20-point jam there to the Steamrollers. We've brought this game to within 2 points. 64 plays 66. We will be starting this jam with our Team Indigenous jammer in the penalty box. So we've got Damage Patch Doll jamming unopposed. And we have a team timeout to, I think that's Team Indigenous Dreaming. Steamroller's doing some breathing and wooing. It's like shake it out, I suppose. You breathe it out. So I do have access to the penalty stats. And we have one person in the Steamrollers on 4 penalties, but otherwise everybody is under that. Nowhere near foul out territory. We are 2/3 of the way through this period. And apologies. There were some points dropped in to Team Indigenous after that jam concluded, so they had 7 points. So it is now 69 to 64, and it is a 5-point game. Rolling whistle, end of timeout. And as we mentioned, Damage Patch Doll jamming unopposed. And Steamrollers get that pack moving. And then come to a stop, forcing our Team Indigenous skaters to bridge out the front. And the last line of defence is Pinky, but Damage Patch is through and a lead jammer. Donna is back, skims to the outside, hit out by Cyclo and recycled behind the pack. And Donna taking the out, then the in. Bit of a stack there in the middle. Damage Patch is down. And calls. There was a star pass completed by Team Indigenous. And that was 3 points added to the board for Steamrollers. No points for Team Indigenous Dreaming. So a 7-point jam total there for Steamrollers brings them to 71, and that is a lead change. If you are the drinking game type, like water, hydrate, we have had a lead change. 71 to 69. And we have Hexperiment out for Team Indigenous Dreaming. And Goose Lightning now also free for the Steamrollers. Experiment coming in at speed. Tiptoeing down that inside line, calling it 3 points added to the total. Which will mean another lead change. We have a 1-point game, 6 minutes remaining in period 2.
Again, crazy about scores.
That's my job here as a commentator. I'm allowed to be excited about roller derby, and I am allowed to get excited by very, very close games.
Isn't it about, like, explaining what it is instead of just going, this score is blah, this score is blue, blah?
No, it depends. We are, like, this is game 15 or 16 for the weekend, so hopefully people have kind of got the hang of roller derby by now.
So today is about school blah, scar blues, blah, blah?
Yes, exactly. Exactly that. Who have we got jamming now, Bloods?
Donkey Kong and Slim Skady.
So we've got the, I was going to say the pack rolls all up there, jammed up against the pivot line, but they have skated back just before the whistle. Most of the time you see the pack lining up just in front of the jammer so they don't get a run up. And we have Slim Skady through and lead for this jam. Donkey Kong pushed to the inside, manages to get around 1, 2, 3 blockers, stopped by the pivot there from Team Indigenous. That is 1-8 Skater Masochist. And now Pinky taking on Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong pushing them out of play and completes their initial pass. And Slim Skady through, calling it. That was an 8-point jam. Team Indigenous Dreaming up to 80 points. Dragon City Steamrollers on 71. I've only just got the live chat up, and I would like to go back in time and say a whistle of officials is the perfect collective noun for roller derby officials. And we've got Kilbo Baggins up for Steamrollers, up against Hard Donna for Team Indigenous Dreaming. Knocked out there to the outside by Silver Fox, recycled back into that tripod of steamrollers at the rear, whilst Kilbo has 2 to beat at the front. Make that 1, make that none. Lead jammer status to Kilbo. Looks like Silver Fox and Bee Sting working together there to keep Hard Donna trapped at the back of the pack. O coming in from the pivot, Skater Masochist. And Bee Stings everywhere, recycling back to the front to recapture Hard Donna. Kilbo to the in, to the out. Bit of a chase down there by 2-2 Casserole, but pushed out of play and has to let them go. Hard Donna had taken the star off, but has put it back on. Kilbo knocked to the outside. Initiator falls, so they're free to come back on. And Hard Donna almost passed there on the inside line. Hit by Sparks a Riot. And recycles back. Initial pass now complete for Hard Donna. Kilbo calling it. All that hard work to complete your initial pass, and then you're denied the points. Big jam there for our steamrollers. 14 points brings them into the lead. Lead change 85 to 80.
I'll tell you a sad moment in roller derby when you do hard work and then you get a penalty for it.
That is another sad moment. And it is Damage Patrol up against Hexperiment. Hexperiment just jogging down the outside line, all casual like. Clean and clear with lead jammer status. Oh, then one, not to be outdone, Damage Patrol 1 foot backwards on the outside line of turn 1, also completes their initial pass. Hex duking to the out, then calling back to the in. 4 points on the scoreboard. 1 point game, 85 points steamrollers, 84 to Team Indigenous Dreaming. We have 2 minutes left in this period. Whilst I understand this is a consolation bracket, and these guys are technically not playing for the gold, I love to watch evenly matched derby games.
What does that even mean?
When the scores are close, when the skills are even.
Then wouldn't it be called when the scores are close?
No. And we have Slim Skatey up against a tripod of doom there, of steamrollers at the back. And Goose Lightning coming around to score some points. We have now had a, beautiful apex jump there on the inside by Goose for those full 4 points. Meanwhile, star pass for Team Indigenous Skating, and that is Gammon Jammin' coming around. Oh, and scoring the points, living up to their name. And 2 more points there added to the steamrollers. 6 point jam for them. Beautiful 4 point jam for our Team Indigenous Dreaming. 91 steamrollers leading 3 points to Team Indigenous Dreaming on 88. We will be getting 1 more jam because we have 30 seconds between jams, and there is longer than that remaining on the period clock. And that is Kilbo Baggins behind Hard Donna. Hard Donna trying to follow Kilbo through, but thwarted there by Sparks a Riot. Silver Fox and Sparks a Riot with Razorback there in that back tripod. And it was Hot Jam Donut, Pinky, and... Sorry, it's taken me a while to see the numbers. I'm afraid I cannot tell you who that last person was in the Team Indigenous tripod at the beginning of that jam. But a short jam to finish us off to finish the half. 3 more points to our steamrollers.
The score is 94 to Steam and 88 to the Indigenous team.
Yeah, so how much of a lead do steamrollers have there? What's that? What's the math there, Butterfly?
6.
Yeah, 6-point lead to our Dragon City steamrollers. So we're going to head off for 15 minutes. Probably do a few laps of the track because it's very cold and we need to warm up. And we will see you back here for the exciting conclusion in about 13 minutes' time.
Bye.
microphone number 2 working.
Why didn't... Hello?
And we have 2 microphones working. We are very, very excited now. We do not have to share. But we left you with this most exciting game. In the consolation bracket of Div2 of OTTA on day 2, we have Dragon City Steamrollers leading on 94 to Team Indigenous Dreaming, but only leading by 6 points because they are on 88. I believe there are 20 seconds left in the intermission. I will stand corrected if required, but the refs are in the middle. The teams are doing their chance.
Yes, you are correct. They are very, very loudly doing it.
Alrighty, and Team Indigenous Dreaming are very eager. Experiment out there. First jammer on the track. Damage Patch Doll, though, only a few seconds behind. Steamrollers.
Now you count how many seconds they go on now.
Steamrollers taking that rearmost position on the pack, as they have throughout the first half. And Hex going through the middle this time. No running up or down those inside lines. Also successful through the middle. Pops out, lead jam status. Damage Patch Doll heading to the outside of turn 1 and cuts back through and has completed their initial pass.
Right now that pack looks like it's like a sandwich or a pie being mixed.
Like with the jammer in the middle, a jammer sandwich with a blocker crust.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds normal.
And Hex is through and scoring points. Damage Patch Doll also out of the pack with some points on the board. That was just a 3-point pass though. Must have had somebody not inbounds and upright to be able to be passed.
Still, it's that pie sandwich again.
And Hex calling it off. Not before scoring another 4 points though. That is 8 points to Team Indigenous Dreaming, bringing them to 96. 3 points though to Dragon City Steamrollers on 97. They maintain the lead.
Can I guess? You're going crazy over the score again?
Yeah, 1 point points difference. Yep.
Oh, we are changing some stuff.
There is a correction to the Team Indigenous scoreboard. It was a 12-point jam. We have a lead change.
Lovely song made by Riley Mail.
Or Butterfly. So it is 100 to 97. We have Slim Skady pushing on that tripod at the rear of the pack. And that is Donkey Kong, who has exited the pack first. Been declared lead. Beasting and Razorback there, recycling and recollecting Slim Skady at the front, but they are stretched out to capacity. The engagement zone is going to end any second.
There are some whistles that I have no idea why they are being blown. Not being blown. There's no bones sticking out of people, I hope.
And so that was 2-point jam to Donkey Kong Steamrollers, 99. Still in the lead, Team Indigenous Dreaming at 100. I hope you filled your beverages up during intermission, because I feel we're going to have many a lead change and many the opportunity to drink.
And guess what? You're going crazy over the score again.
It's my job. Calm down. All right, we have Hard Donna for Team Indigenous Dreaming up against, that is a 1-2 Silver Fox. I think this is the first time we've seen Silver Fox jam in this game.
Yep.
2 Team Indigenous blockers there at the front of the pack. And they are passed, and Silver Fox is a lead.
I just saw, as being the first jam, they are also captain of their team.
Oh, there you go. Captain and lead jammer. It's quite prestigious. And Hardonna with one to beat there. That is Goose Lightning, doing some amazing footwork while skating backwards. Hardonna just has to push, get them out of that engagement zone. Team Indigenous bench yelling push, push. And they are out. Initial pass complete. Oops. Bit of a tumble there at the front of the pack. Thumbs up though by parties involved.
But guess
Silver
what?
Fox is out.
But guess what? It was another sandwich or pie or whatever you call it.
Yes. You must be hungry. A lot of food references going on.
These two teams must love sandwiches and pies. I wonder
I
what
think
their
it is
favorite pie
you
is.
that loves sandwiches and pies.
Be quiet.
And we are going to have a recycle there of Silver Fox. Hardonna is in and scoring some points. Silver Fox also scoring points, but it is their third scoring pass for this jam. Tight toe stop work there on the outside line. That is 3-7. Trainwreck coming in to do some offense for them. A jam ends. That was a 3 points for Team Indigenous. And I think that was the full 4 there for the Steamrollers. 12 points on the board for Dragon City Steamrollers. 111 plays Team Indigenous Dreaming on 103.
I will say there's been a lot of 12 points in this game. 12 points flying up in the air or something like that.
And we have a timeout. Who called that timeout? Was it teams? Was it officials? Looks like an official timeout. Everybody's looking at their skates. I'm going to assume we've found a nut or a bolt or a washer or a rivet or something. We're looking at elbow pads as well.
Or it's just a random time to look at your skates.
Yeah. Simon says, check your equipment. Official timeout is over. We have Experiment again, up against, is a Calamity Doom shirt, but I believe that is a Cyclo body.
Yes, a cyclo body has a pink.
And that would be the first jam we've had for Cyclo in this game as well. So Steamrollers changing up their jam lineup. I think this is the first time I haven't seen Hex get lead the entire game. I think their perfect jamming lead status streak is over. Cyclo entering the pack, calling it off, getting 1 point. Hex sneaking away though with 2 points.
Mum, did you not realise it's a lead change?
Not that time it wasn't.
Is it was? Thank
No,
you.
no, because like if you take those 2 points off and you take that 1 point off, they were still in the lead.
Well,
We have 112 for Dragon City against 105 for Team Indigenous Dreaming.
I didn't see it earlier, okay?
Totally fine. Who's jamming now?
Damage Patch Doll and Slim Skady.
And Damage Patch Doll recycled back there by Pinky on the outside of turn 1. Tripod reinforcer Team Indigenous Dreaming at the rear of the pack. And it is Slim Skady that is out and a lead. Pack pushes and jostles around to turn 2. Damage Patch Doll with a 2 to beat. I think that's Goose Lightning in there doing some O. And Damage Patch Doll didn't take the star off, took their glasses off to complete that initial pass. Goose doing some gorgeous one-on-one blocking there.
That's like the same thing, right?
Glasses
Like
versus star.
Yeah, same thing, right?
If you can't see the star, does the star exist?
That's what I was about to say.
And Slim Skater is out. Team Indigenous Dreaming saying, keep on trucking, please. Damage Patch Doll has entered the pack. Bit of a chase down there by the Team Indigenous Dreaming pivot. That is a 1-8 Skater Masochist. Unfortunately, a penalty for their troubles, and Damage Patch Doll is out. Slim Skater being told to call it. They received 3 out of the 4 points there, so a 7-point jam for Team Indigenous, bringing them to 112, 116 Dragon City Steamrollers.
You're gonna go crazy again about the score.
It's my job, I tells you. And it's exciting when the scores are close together. What's the points differential here? 4 points. That's exciting. That's 1 jam a lap. Oop. And the 4 whistles. Team to
timeout?
Oh, it looks like an official timeout.
It looks like something is happening, but I have
Jim
no
Peckleball
idea
is
what's
talking
happening.
to the Team Indigenous Dreaming bench.
Now it's back on. What
Yep.
just happened?
We will never know. All right, up jamming we have
Experiment and Donkey Kong.
and Hex jogging on their toe stops down that inside line. Half a track lead on Donkey Kong, who has also completed their initial pass. Hex is a through. Donkey Kong coming around and is slowed by the Team Indigenous skaters. And there was a penalty issued. I think it was to a Team Indigenous blocker. Donkey Kong has shrunk that lap lead on Hex. Both jammers now in the pack at the same time. Spin on the inside line and Donkey Kong has overtaken Hex. Hex calls it. Both of them though getting the full 4 points in that final pass. So 12 points to Team Indigenous Dreaming, 8 points to Dragon City. We have a 124 apiece. It's a tie. Yeah, that's right, Kilbo, for now.
Yeah, for now.
I love that roller derby can't end on a tie. I love it. So it's Kilbo up against...
I completely forgot. Hard Donna.
And Hard Donna up against that tripod of steamrollers at the back of the pack. Kilbo is through.
I was thinking about a name with a H. I'm like, who is that?
And a successful star passer there from Hard Donna to, that is Team Indigenous Dreaming's pivot number 8, Pinky. Pinky very excited that the jam is called before they enter the pack.
Oh, I thought they were mad that they didn't get to do a lap or get points or anything like that.
No, I think that was the opposite of mad. I think that was elation. So 4 more points to the Steamrollers tally, 128 to 124.
But technically, it could be both. They could be excited or they could be like, I wanted to get points.
It could be an end.
And what?
I'm excited and I'm disappointed.
Oh. Oh, we have some dancing, like always. Not
It's like, it seems to be more like sort of the aerobic style official. Maybe it's Oz style official review.
But yeah, this looks like what aerobics would be like.
If you were a jam timer and you had an official review and you had to do aerobics at the same time.
I could do that, I think. As long as I didn't have to do the floor routine. Oh god, that would be hard.
Yeah.
And blowing a whistle.
So we have Slim Skady lined up with Cyclo, pretending to be Calamity June. No, borrowing Calamity June's shirt.
Yeah, why not? Let's just say she's pretending.
Nah. No need to pretend when you're Cyclo and no need to pretend when you're Calamity June. Both amazing skaters. And so our steamrollers rearrange themselves and pop out the front to recapture Slim Skady. Meanwhile, Cyclo through and lead. I think that's their second jam for the game and their second time getting lead. Beasting there, trying to delay Slim Skady a little bit further, but is out of play and has to let them go. Cyclo through with their 4 points, chasing down Slim. Both teams decide it's worth another lap around. Goose doing a bit of O there. Cyclo still recycled, then Beasting doing some O. Cyclo is through. Slim Skady up against Sharp Cheddar, up against Razorback. Steamrollers, Goose flies in, Beasting as well. Everybody's getting a bit of the action. Cyclo back for another slice of pie. Goose with a knock to the inside line, recycling Slim all the way down that first straightaway. We have lost, I think, 1 blocker apiece to the penalty box. And Cyclo doing a skippity toe stop run around the outside and getting another 4 points on the scoreboard for Dragon City. getting a cut track penalty at the end of that scoring pass, wanting to call it off, but once you've got a penalty, you don't count as a skater anymore, so sadly was not able to.
Bye-bye, you're not a skater anymore.
Well, not for the sake of the game. You're not inbounds, upright, or in play at that time, therefore, you kind of don't count, so you can't call it off.
But you just said you're not a skater anymore.
Okay, it was a bit of a harsh generalisation. But in that last jam, we got 20 points on the board there for Dragon City Steamrollers. A 148 now has a 20-point lead on Team Indigenous Dreaming.
I was gonna say that.
Who's jamming? Experiment starting the power jam.
I don't know. What?
Hex is through and lead.
Oh.
Definitely not passive offense there by Team Indigenous Dreaming. All 4 blockers coming in to render some assistance. Hex running down that inside line. Gap shrinks to 16 points. Hex pushing that tripod up to turn 3 and through. Our lead shrinks by another 4 points. Cyclo is back on the track. Slowed by Team Indigenous Dreaming, but definitely not stopped. But also Hex is through again. Hex looks to the bench. Bench says call it. 12 points will do in that jam. Thank you very much. 148 plays a 140. And we're about to head into the final quarter of Derby for this game. And we have Damage Patch Doll for our Steamrollers up against... Oh, I think that's Gammon Jammin'.
Hey, that makes sense. Gammon is jammin'.
Yeah.
Jamming. I thought jammin' was the word for a sec. Yeah, jammin's a word, right?
Jamming. Yes, definitely in roller derby, jamming's a word. And we have Damage Patch Doll through with the lead jammer status.
8 points difference so far.
Yeah.
Mum's going crazy.
And, Silver Fox there with a hit to the inside.
She doesn't care about that hat anymore, I don't think.
Gammon Jammin'. Taking a second, recomposing, picking up the jammer hat.
We need to not be raging while we're doing whatever.
No, I don't think they're raging. I think you're allowed to take a second to evaluate your choices and stuff. But I think that's the magic thing about Derby, right? You get knocked down, but you get back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By raging, I meant you should take a breath.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. I didn't mean actually scream off your head.
Right.
That makes sense, right?
Sure does. So we have Razorbacks and Silver Fox there. 2 blockers at the front for Steamrollers with the... I was going to say the Star Pass recipient, but they are heading back to find... I think they were told that was an incomplete Star Pass. Just not sure you're allowed to do that. Nowadays we've got rules about making sure the star is visible, so I'm not sure you can stick the jammer star down your top. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the outcomes are. But anyway, 12 points there on the track for Steamrollers. 160 to 140. Yeah, you used to be able to hide it.
I know some crazy rules back in the olden days.
Yes, you're 8 years of roller derby. So what's our points differential now? How many points between them?
20.
Still a 20-point deficit, so Dragon City recouping those 12 points that Hex grubbed back in the prior jam. We do have Kilbo Baggings jamming for our Steamrollers. Gammon Jammin' starting in the penalty box, and they've got their jammer helmet cover back again because it must have been an incomplete Star Pass previous jam. Both jammers now back on the track. Kilbo with a beautiful spin at the front, worth the full 4 points. a star pass there to Hex. Handily wearing the pivot helmet cover in this jam. Team Indigenous rolling blockers, dreaming blockers. Reforming at the back, knocking Kilbo to the in, so they call. But still another 12-point jam there. 172 for Dragon City Steamrollers, 140 Team Indigenous Dreaming.
I'll just say myself, I love like the pattern on the Indigenous star hats. I think it's a symbol, but I forgot what it means.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we are has some symbolic meaning that we are not aware of. We should do our homework afterwards and find out.
No, I've learnt it before, I just forgot what it was.
Oh, okay.
We
But
got-
yes, it is a delightful design.
It's very unique, because usually you just see that star say on Goose Lightning right there.
Yep,
But
normally
that
just
one's
a
like,
5-pointed star.
it looks
That
like
one's very,
a
very
flower.
pretty.
Oh, and look at the pivot hat, they have like patterns on it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
They have patterns everywhere, even probably on their jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
Jerseys, yeah. Not a football jersey, no bueno.
Alrighty, so we currently have
Oh, I've
Goose
already,
Lightning
I've already told
lining
them
for a
there's
Steamrollers.
star on their head. Oh, I think we're adding 5 more seconds to the clock for some reason.
Well, sometimes the scoreboard gets a little out of sync with the jam timer, and technically the jam timer is the source of all truth in
True.
roller derby.
But
So that was a little timeout there to adjust the scoreboard and the period clock.
Imagine it was 5 seconds, like 5 seconds. I don't know.
Whoa, spaghetti-o. 5 seconds was called, and Team Indigenous Dreaming did not have any players on the track. Quick thinking bench staff there called the timeout so that they have time to get on the track.
Otherwise, it would have just been going around getting like a million points.
Well, no, if the other team doesn't show up, their captain gets a delay a game penalty. You need 2 teams to play roller derby.
But,
need-
but imagine if you didn't and you just got like, I don't know how many points. A lot.
Yep, yep.
It would cover up the whole screen. Because it'd be so
Potentially.
long. Like, I don't know. I'm just waiting and waiting. They come. Just let them take their time.
There they are.
Well, there's a jammer. That's
Yeah,
close
okay,
enough,
who's
right?
that jamming?
Hex.
So Experiment up against Goose Lightning. Steamroller taking the jammer line as they have pretty much the entire game. And 5 seconds to be. 12 minutes left in this game. Hex and Goose moving in the same directions. That is Silver Fox trying to hold that inside line, but it is Hex that gets through. Goose headed to the out. Oh, Pinky almost knocking them to the outside. Only a third of a track between our jammers as they enter the pack. Beasting there, slowing Hex's forward motion. Joining up with Silver Fox. And Goose Lightning exiting the pack at almost the same time as Hexperiment. Jam Donut, Pinky, and that is 0. That's Pinky. I have an 8 and a 0-8, and my roster does not have both of those numbers. Ah, 8 are feminine. I've been calling feminine Pinky all game. I am super sorry. Pinky has been playing too, but I've been looking at 0-8 as 8. 2 separate amazing skaters. I will not mix them up again. And we end that jam with 8 points to Dragon City Steamrollers and 12 points to Team Indigenous.
You've seen I was right. There are little patterns on their jerseys for the Indigenous team.
Yes. And that is 180 to 152. And that is Slim Skady up against Cyclo. Cyclo through for lead again. That is an amazing track record of lead skater status. Sparks are right, last line of defence there. Slim Skady is down and pushing, and Sparks are right is out of play. Cyclo pushing against the tripod of Team Indigenous Dreaming. Exits and gets the full four. Slim Skady pushing against Trainwreck this time. Joined by Sparks alright. No pack is called. Pack has to reform before the blocking can recommence. Team Indigenous Dreaming tripod. Gypsy Wild with a knockout there to the outside. And we have Kilbo Baggins up against Experiment. This is a matchup we've seen quite a lot this game. Experiment successful in obtaining the mission objective of getting lead. Moves on to step 2, scores some points. Pinky there, 0-8, the real Pinky. Almost successfully hits to the inside line, but Kilbo is out and free to score. Hex through, Kilbo through. We are going lap for lap here, point for point. And Silver Fox, last line of defence there. Unsuccessful, Hex is through. Kilbo also through. We have a depleted Team Indigenous Dreaming pack with 2 of their blockers in the penalty box. Full 4 steamrollers still on the track. And Hex calling it. We have points-wise, 16 points to Team Indigenous Dreaming, 11 points to Dragon City Steamrollers. So Steamrollers remain in the lead, 199 to 172. 7 minutes on the game, but we are going to start with 2 Team Indigenous Dreaming players in the penalty box.
It is very confusing, even though Steam has more points to them. But in the last round, Indigenous team got more points than them in that jam. So it's confusing.
Yeah, maths can be confusing. Maths can also be fun too, though.
More confusing than fun. Actually, it's hard to choose between those. It's like confusing and fun.
Yeah, it can be both.
Some days it's confusing, some days it's fun. Some days it's in the middle.
Meanwhile, we have Donkey Kong at the back of the pack behind a tripod of Team Indigenous Dreaming skaters, and Hardonna pushing up against 2 blockers at the front for steamrollers. And Hardonna goes around the outside and gets a lead. Beasting heading to the penalty box as part of that altercation. Donkey Kong has taken the helmet cover off and passed it to Goose Lightning. Star pass complete. Meanwhile, Hardonna in there and scoring some points.
Mum, I have a would you rather question for you.
And Donna calls.
I have a would you rather question for you.
Okay, hit me with the would you rather question.
Would you rather help your jammer or get a penalty or even worse, an expulsion to help your jammer, or not help your jammer and stay on the track? The track.
Well, see, I would never do something on purpose illegally, so I'm going to have to just stay on the track. If I could help my jammer legally, I would, but if I knew it was going to be a penalty or an expulsion, I would not do it.
It's a would you rather. You got to choose one or the other.
Yeah, well, then I'm not going to help my jammer. Okay. All right, that was a 3-point to 1-point jam, so it's 175 to 200. 25-point lead by our steamrollers. And we have Slim Skady up against Damage Patch Doll. 3 blockers apiece on the track, and it is Damage Patch Doll that pops out first. Team Indigenous Dreaming coming back and doing some O really quickly, really effectively, and then reforming as Damage Patch Doll comes back to score. Slim Skating now around the outside. Been waiting all game to say that. Around the outside on turn 3. Damage Patch Doll also, but obviously side surfing because that's what they do. 8 points there for the Dragon City Rollers. That Dragon City Steamrollers. 4 points for Team Indigenous so far. The jam continues. We do have half a jam to go. So that was a 12-point to 4-point jam. 212 for Dragon City Steamrollers. 179 for Team Indigenous Dreaming.
How did they get so many points? Like, what? I'm so shocked that I can't even talk properly right now.
And we have Hex up against Cyclo. This is like the matchup of who can get lead because both of them have such high lead jammer statistics. Sadly, Cyclo are getting a 4-ounce penalty and headed to the penalty box. Therefore, a lead goes to Hex.
And it's a power jam.
Sure is.
Do you like my songs?
Sort of. Alright, Hex through a 4-4.
How dare you? You better love them.
Not gonna lie, this is gonna be a great outcome for Team Indigenous. Whilst you don't wish the other team ill, you are definitely going to take advantage of their jammer being in the penalty box. And both jammers racking up some points there. 2 points to Dragon City Steamrollers and 12 points to Hexperiment.
I told you, there's a lot of 12 points in this game.
Well, technically, if you think about it, because we usually score in groups of 4, there's going to be a lot of 4s, a lot of 8s, a lot of 12s, probably less 16s and a whole very rare 20. But most of the time, they're going to be in groups of 4.
No, I know that I'm saying like 12-point jam, and that's cool because it's a lot of points, even though I am confusing myself at this point.
So
I think I've been talking too much today.
we only have 1:55 left in the game. We do have 214 points on the board for the Steamrollers, 191 points for Team Indigenous Dreaming. Did you want to do the math there?
No, but hold up.
You want to do the math there?
already 1:55. I feel like 1 minute ago it was like 13.
Yeah, this second half has flown. See, a tight game, a close game makes time fly. Yeah. What's the math here?
Not 100. I was about to say 100.
No, nowhere near. You've got 14 points beyond 200. 23. 23-point difference.
Just added 2 instead of the 1.
That's all. And it's Slim Skady up against Kilbo Baggins. This time we see Team Indigenous at the back of the start line, like at the back of the where the pack lines up on the straightaway there. We have, I don't think I've seen that at all this game.
Why are you so shocked about like where the pack is? And
Well, I'm very into watching Derby strategy, and it's like to change something up in the last jam is quite late in the game to change something up. Did it work? Yeah, well, Kilbo's out, so.
I have a strategy that I like to use a pack. I would like the other team to be in front, so our jammer has a better chance instead of having to go. If it's do you get what I'm saying?
No, not yet. Sorry.
Oh, so I want my pack would be at the back, so it's faster.
Gotcha.
See, do you think it's a good strategy? I like it.
Yeah. And Kilbo is through with another 4 points. And Slim is through with 4 points. At this stage, though, our steamrollers can just go lap for lap. They've got a big enough lead and a small enough amount of time left on the clock that they can afford to be lapped a few times even and still win the game. And we do have an official review called. We have 22 seconds left on the period clock. We
And
have Dragon City Rollers, Steamrollers on 222 points.
And there's someone laying on the ground. I'm guessing this is a medical thing.
Yes. We're having an official timeout first before our official review. As we have 8 points in that last jam going to our Steamrollers. 6 points in Team Indigenous Dreaming. Last jam, 222 plays 197. We do have time left on the period clock, so there will be another jam. And there is a 25-point differential, which is rare, but technically doable. And the official review is being used as a team timeout.
It is their choice, but I would say that's kind of a waste. Because what if you had something? I know there's 22 seconds left, but still.
No, I agree with you on this one. They actually had a team timeout left. So
Yeah.
they could have just used the timeout and kept the official review in case of emergency.
Even though there's only 22 seconds.
Yeah, like highly unlikely it would get used, but your thinking is sound.
It could be. If I think about it clear enough in my very derby brain, from all these derby facts that you give me every single day of the week.
You're welcome.
Am I
Alrighty,
right?
last jammers, tell us who they are, bloods.
Damage Patchtail and Hex. Do you
Experiment.
like that? Same thing.
Endo timeout. And off they go.
Oh, they went back.
Damage going in, Hex going out. Hex is slowed, Damage is not. Damage is through lead and super smiley.
Well,
Very
of course
excited
you
to
would.
have that lead status in that jam.
Well, of course you would. It's the literal last jam of like.
No, but I
Okay.
understand why. Hexperiment has been pretty much lead every
Right.
single jam they've been out.
And it's the last jam.
Yeah,
So,
and you've got a lead, so you want to be able to control the game in the last few seconds. And we'll be calling that jam for another medical incident.
But also, it's an unofficial sport.
We'll see. The officials do have the power to run another jam if they feel that is the case. But I think officials are having a little bit of a chat. Currently our scoreboard is saying unofficial score, 226 for Steamrollers, 201 for Team Indigenous. else you'd prefer not to end on a medical ending. The refs have decided, nope, that is the end of the game. So we do have our final score there. Dragon City Steamrollers are winning this game. Congratulations, 226. But in a tightly close match contest by Team Indigenous Dreaming on 201. What a delightful game to watch this was. My name is Harmon Miranda.
And I'm Butterfly.
Thank you for listening, Derbyverse. Stay tuned, there are still much more OTTA to go, and we'll catch you next time.